Former Senator Jeff Sessions will be in a runoff with Tommy Tuberville. And for more analysis, let's go to Ian Wrights.
All right, so we've been talking with our team about this tonight. We have Scott Beeson, Republican, Democrat Walt Maddox. We know that it's going to be Jeff Sessions and Tommy Tuberville. It looks like that, right, heading into a March 31st runoff. What does each candidate have to do now to convince those voters who maybe voted for Bradley Byrne or Judge Roy Moore or the other candidates to come over and join their campaign?
Well, I think you just saw it. We just watched Jeff Sessions give his speech, and he was thanking the Byrne people, that kind of stuff. So he's courting those folks off the bat. And you saw right out of the gate, Sessions taking shots at Tuberville. This is going to be a rough ride to the runoff. It's already begun. You usually don't see those kinds of things tonight. Maybe you wait till tomorrow morning, but it's already on.
I think Sessions understands that if he's going to win this seat, he's going to have to fight for it. Tuberville has positioned himself as the outsider, going to shake up Washington, clean the swamp. Sessions is going to have to portray himself as the true champion of Donald Trump, who's been there from the very beginning. And he's going to have to also coalesce Bradley Byrne's support. In my opinion, Bradley Byrne really outperformed polling tonight. He's got to somehow coalesce that support. He can do that in South Alabama, I think, because of those relationships. But if I'm Sessions, you've got to start tearing away at Tommy Tuberville's veneer of being the outsider.
So you've got the outsider going up against someone who's been in Washington, who's been in the Senate. How do they reach those voters who may be undecided or may not be sure they want to send someone who's been to the Senate back or send an outsider?
One of the things Sessions will do is he will remind people that he was on the outside. He was fighting against illegal immigration. He was having issues with China. He was arguing about trade deals, saying America was making deals that ship away American jobs. He's going to portray himself, and I think he can make a good argument that he has been an outsider fighting the swamp, even though he was there. That his record portrays that. And I think that's some of the frustration you see from Sessions is he's like, I've been doing these things. I've been doing the things that everybody else is running on. Why am I not getting credit for it? So he's going to have to convince people of that. But I think he can make that argument and be honest about it.
It's going to be parallel tracks. Number one, he's got to be, I'm pro-Trump. I was there from Trump in the beginning. I think you heard that in his speech. He's certainly going to reinforce that when everyone else was doubting Donald Trump, he was there. I think the second thing, though, is he's going to have to, and we don't like it in politics, but he's going to have to go negative. He's going to have to begin bringing Tuberville back down to earth. He can no longer claim I'm the outsider football coach who wants to do good. I think you're going to hear more of issues that got surfaced a little bit in the last couple of weeks are about to get exploded big time in this campaign. There's a lot on the line in this election, and it's about to get intense.